I try to take people through a journey of transformation. So, where they're at is usually somewhere post bariatric surgery and they've plateaued, or they aren't losing as much as what they thought they would have, or they're super obsessed with the scale. And so, we kind of start to break it down and we get into the mind and we do a lot of wellness work, mindset work.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Carpe Diem Living the Podcast. I am your host, Shane Gitmed, and today we have Tina coming all the way from the East Coast. And yeah, I'm just so excited to have her on the show today. So welcome to the show, Tina.
Thank you so much, Shane. I'm excited to be here from New York, and it's torrential downpours and 90 degrees right now.
Oh my gosh, that weather literally reminds me of when I lived in Georgia. It's like so hot and humid, but raining. So you're like, how do I even dress in this? It's too hot to wear boots. It's too hot to wear jeans. Like, what do you do? So yeah, that is so crazy. And you're from New York? You've lived there your whole life?
Yes, I was born and raised in New York in a little town outside of New York City, about an hour north of New York City. And now I live in Kingston, New York, which is a little bit more upstate, but the first capital of New York. So it's got a lot of culture and a lot of rich history here.
That is so cool. I mean, going to any historical area is so much fun because I feel like you feel that vibe. You're just like, wow, so much has happened here. And places where they keep the original buildings even.
Yeah, the oldest 4 stone corners in, I believe, the world are here in Kingston.
I had no idea. Honestly, the only Kingston I knew of was in Jamaica.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet, but maybe one day soon.
Yeah, right? Totally possible, especially since things are opening up. So Tina, oh my gosh. So Tina and I, it's so funny. We met virtually through a Facebook group that you created for single moms.
Yes. I took over the group for a dear friend of mine, Moya Shante. She's a traveling mama. She travels the world. And she handed me this single mom group when I wanted to kind of start my own little empire. And so a friend and I, April and I co-host a single mom group where we welcome other single moms to come in and kind of just be uplifted by people sharing stories and asking the group for support. But it's a pretty empowering group, and we hope to grow it over time.
No, yeah, that support group was definitely everything I needed when I was searching, because it's really hard. I feel like, especially when you're a newer single mom, you're like, who do I talk to about this? Do I even know anyone that's in the same situation? Where can I find other people that are going through the same thing? Just to feel like you're not alone. And I think that was all during like prime time of COVID. So I was like, okay, where am I going to socialize? I'm so extroverted, so I need an outlet somewhere. So it was nice to like be plugged in, and you were so warm and welcoming. I remember you reached out to me right away, and that was so nice. So Facebook groups are cool. You make virtual friends through there.
Yes. Yeah, I think through that group, I've made quite a few great connections, and some of them we're like lifelong sisters. We're like, let's meet up in real life. Is that a thing anymore? But we talk on the phone, we FaceTime, and I think it's just a great space to find new people and to socialize with others. So it's a great way to connect.
Totally. And that's exactly what this podcast was for me too, because I created it during COVID and I was like, you know what? I want to find ways to connect with people that understand, that care about health and wellness. So yeah, I made quite a few friends through the show, and yeah, same thing. We just stay connected all throughout, even when we're not recording anything. So that is so awesome. I love that. So you're a health and wellness lifestyle coach. And I always ask people, how did this all start for you? Where was it on your journey that you're like, okay, I want to help people, and where it all began?
I think in terms of helping people, I've always been that person. I was in high school and the captain of the helping groups, anything that provided assistance. So drugs and alcohol, mentorship, peer mediation. I just did it all. And I became a licensed social worker. And from there, I still had my own issues. I still had a lot of my own demons. I was always giving to everyone else and not giving back to me. So I was going around with the coffee pot, filling up everybody's cup, and mine was always empty. And it wasn't until I had gone through this battle with my weight of being up and down, and always knowing in the back of my head what I wanted to aspire to be and what I had aspired to want to do, and little visions of who I wanted to be would go up on a vision board. And I did have weight loss surgery in 2015. And my ideal client is a woman who's thinking about the surgery or had just gone through it. When you are morbidly obese and close to 300 pounds, it's sometimes so hard to get there. And I utilized it as a tool. And so I started to do the mental wellness piece of it with myself. And through that, I rediscovered who I was, or created a whole new person. I started losing weight. I started gaining it back. And that's when everything kind of clicked for me. When my mom was like, Tia, I think you're gaining a little bit of weight. And I realized, okay, I needed to change my lifestyle. It wasn't just what I was eating, but it was everything else in my life. So I added more travel. I added more hanging out with friends. I started to go to the gym more often. And I put myself in really uncomfortable situations for me, like swimming across a lake. I'm terrified of turtles. I'm terrified of water snakes, and I hate fish. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. So it's all about taking that chance and putting yourself, I think, within fear's reach. If there's something you want to do, but fear is holding you back, you have to overcome that and do it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's so true. They say that growth happens when you feel the most uncomfortable, because then you're like expanding from the inside out, and pushing those limits for yourself. I mean, not only do you almost surprise yourself, you're like, oh gosh, I thought I could never get through that. Some people that are afraid of heights, now they're allowing themselves to go on planes, and they're like, oh, who cares? Like, they can actually look out a window now. So that's really cool that you kind of just took it upon yourself of like, okay, I'm just going to push myself to basically just accept it. You're just like, oh, well, but swimming across the lake, that's pretty intense because you really don't know what's in there. So kudos. So I think it's really awesome that you play hockey and you also lift, which so many people are like afraid of doing any of those things. So have you played hockey your whole life?
Yes, I've been playing hockey since like the third grade. I did quit though. I quit right in high school. I think the height of my trauma was when my father kind of walked away when I was in 11th grade. And so I played one season without him. He still wanted to coach, but I was like so angry with him because he didn't just walk away from my mom. He walked away from our entire family. And so I said, that's it, I'm done. And then at the end of 11th grade, I just quit. I was supposed to go on to play in college. I didn't. And I started coaching maybe a year in my early 20s when I was like 23. And then I found out I was pregnant and I couldn't coach while pregnant. It was just too much for me. And so I quit. And I held on to my hockey equipment. I tell this story a lot. I held on to it in everywhere I went. And it just came with me to college. It came with me to my apartments. And then when I moved into my house, it came with me there, and it just moved throughout the basement. And a friend of mine called me up. It was shortly after I had become divorced. And she said, I think you could really use hockey again. And I know you said you used to play. So will you come try this out with me? I don't want to do it alone. And, looking back at it, she was doing that for me. She had no interest in joining the team. She just wanted to get me out there because she knew I needed it. And I got out there. I was asked to come back the week later. And I have not left the team since. So I've become a leader within the team. I do a lot of our apparel orders. I'm the one that's really rough at times on the other players. We are a rec team. So a lot of the ladies are beginners or have never skated before because we just accept anyone and everyone. And it's just become quite an amazing family of other women, a lot of them also being moms. So it's just nice to to have all this support in a really physically debilitating sport, I guess, so to speak, for a lot of the moms. And I started weightlifting this year. So that's something new that I've started and I really enjoy it.
Isn't that awesome when you find different physical activities as outlets and you just, even though, yes, it's tough and it can be really exhausting, but at the end of it, you're like, I love that. And I'm going to keep doing it because it's so therapeutic. And you just feel like, I know for me, when I'm working out, so the two workouts I do pretty often is Pilates and row house, which row house is that rowing machine. So kind of like SoulCycle where you're all cycling, but we all have rowers. And I just feel so incredibly strong during that class. So I like having that balance. And so I think it's really cool when you just find an activity that you love and it just will help you mind, body, soul, right? So that is so great.
I feel like I'm going to need to find one of those rowing classes by me. That does sound like a lot of fun. And you feed off of everybody's energy around you. So it's just so important to be energetic and to have a good time. I have to be reminded of that often at hockey too. Like, Tina, don't take things so seriously. It's okay. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, this is just hockey. This is just my hockey face,
Yeah.
So it wasn't until my 30s that I had really figured out that sports and physical activity was super important. And so I think it really all started with the running. Like, I started running and then I got back into hockey and then I got into swimming long distances. And it's always about competing against myself. I don't think of it as competing against anyone else. Everything that I do is how can I become better at it? And what's my next step? How do I get better? And so when you're constantly in competition with yourself, you're pretty energized. And I never get down about it, but I'm always like, next time will be better.
Totally. I totally get that. And yeah, you will definitely love a row house class because it's exactly like that, where on the machine, you obviously see your total meters, your average split time, how many rows per minute. And at the end of it, you get this fun email that tells you, you're a powerhouse. This is how many meters you rode. And I love that. I love seeing the stats of it all. And so you see that climb of like, oh, wow, like I'm only 10% away from my 25K mark. It's so fun. So yeah, being in competition with yourself is a good, healthy competition for sure.
Yeah. Just like, do you have an Apple Watch?
I do.
Yeah, that's always been like my motivation is like closing my rings and sending sassy messages back to my friends about like them and their like workout. We like to roast each other via the little text messages. And over the years, they've gotten some really good ones in there that you can just auto send away. And so it's nice to get that back and forth with somebody and have some accountability.
Totally. So I'm assuming accountability is definitely a huge part of your coaching.
Yeah. So I run a coaching program. I have an 8-week fully online, independent coaching program where people could just sign up for one flat rate of $140. They get on and they're able to complete the steps on their own. But often I couple that with counseling sessions, with coaching sessions. So the coaching sessions go anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And it's kind of decided between my client and I if they need this weekly, if they want it bi-weekly, if they want it several times a week. So it's really tailored to what they need and what they require. But in terms of accountability, I have an amazing client right now, and she is awesome. We see each other about once a week, but we are constantly texting each other as well, right through an app through my website. So it's really nice to stay in contact and just have that accountability. I make sure she sends me her homework every night and just checking in with her.
Yeah, no, that's awesome because sometimes you do just need that person that's going to just push you a little bit. Exactly what coaching, in health, because it's so easy just like, oh, I'll watch a YouTube video or, oh, I'll just read this article. But there's nothing like having that person in your back pocket that you can rely on, ask for advice when you need it. And, I love that part of your coaching is you're there to help create goals, work together, and push past limiting beliefs. That's huge.
Yeah, I try to take people through a journey of transformation. So, where they're at is usually somewhere post bariatric surgery and they've plateaued, or they aren't losing as much as what they thought they would have, or they're super obsessed with the scale. And so, we kind of start to break it down. And we get into the mind and we do a lot of wellness work, mindset work. And that's where it all starts. So I kind of ask them to put themselves in uncomfortable situations to get past all of it.
Yeah, sometimes you really just have to reframe. Reframing is huge with moving past limiting beliefs. I was wondering, would you want to share what, I guess, a limiting belief that you had to work on over the years? Because we all have at least one. And I know mine. Mine was I'm not enough, which thank God I've worked through, because that was just weighing me down for way too long.
Yeah. Oh, that is, I have a bracelet that says I am enough. For me, it's I'm not smart enough or I'm not skilled enough. And I get in that mind frame often, and just because of the trauma of my childhood and all these limited beliefs that I feel like other people had put on me. But then I really internalized a lot of that. And through working through that over the last really 4 years and going through some very traumatic relationships and putting myself in a healthier position and becoming a single mom has allowed or provided me the opportunity to really grow. And so I think understanding that I am enough and that I'm super smart, my vocabulary might not be on point all the time, but when you put me to task at my job, I am an expert. I know exactly how to tackle things. And I'm a school social worker who deals with transition and programming and creating startup all the time. And I do it as a side hustle as well. And I'm a powerhouse, and anything I put my mind to, I could do.
It's so true. And that's exactly what happens sometimes is we do underestimate ourselves, and acknowledging our inner wisdom is huge. And I've heard this from other experts too, was life experience is priceless. You may not have a million degrees, a million certifications, but your life experience and the things that you learn from past professions, just past clients, when you lump that all together, what you have to offer is way bigger than any piece of paper could ever say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd have to say my recent conversation with Brian Chesky from Airbnb has been amazing. So I think you've been following. I don't know if you watched that episode yet, but I was on Going From Broke. That is a Crackle original Ashton Kutcher-produced TV show. And it's only in its second season, but the amazing opportunities that they presented me with and the financial assistance and just the experts that they brought to the table has just changed my life in the past few months. I can't share too much because my episode is airing in a few days. It's just it's been super informative and really helpful. And out of all this, I'm excited to help other single mamas who are struggling with their finances and really teaching them what I was taught. So I always say inspiring others to inspire others.
Exactly. That's what I thought was so cool is when you not only do you have so much to share, it's going to be so amazing that the masses get to hear it because of the show. And I love that, Chegg is involved, Airbnb is involved. And yeah, that's another thing you do, right? You have the side hustle with having an Airbnb that you host.
Yes. Yeah. I'm anything, just throw it my way. I'll do it.
I know what you mean. You're the same when it comes to that. If it makes money, hey, if it's legal, yes. Fine. Yes.
I think a lot of the moms in the single mom group that we're in love to travel, and there's a lot of women all over the world in it. And so I always love to travel, and I own a timeshare. I would get in my car, drive down to Florida, and come back at least every other year. But I was I want to travel more. I want to see the world. How do you do that? So after my daughter's diagnosis of autism, add that onto the mix of everything else. That happened when she was 10. And right after it, I was like, we're getting out of here. We just need to like escape for a little bit and recoup and recover and figure out how to deal with this. And so we went on a 15-day expedition to Florida and then on a cruise and back. And I did this on a shoestring budget, and I did it by going to Airbnbs and to like weird experiences, like staying in a house with a bunch of other people. And it was the most fun we had ever had. We were with a bunch of other women, and they were just loving on me, loving on Gia, and we're just there to support us. And so through that experience, I was like, if these people can rent their house on Airbnb, so can I, because I'm also competitive.
Yeah. I planted a seed.
Yeah. So I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. I can rent my place out. And that started Airbnb. And due to COVID, I had to shut that down. And I had shut it down for a little over a year. And then the show asked me to relist my place and get it back out there. And I did. And I rented it for over a month. And I've rented it a few times since as well. So it brings me the income that I need to travel or to not have to work 2 jobs.
Exactly. I love that, where it's just when you create multiple income streams, you make money while you're sleeping. You make money without having to exchange the time. And I know that's what a lot of people are trying to do right now. Just, to either get out of debt or they just want extra cushion, whatever their goal is. It's just so nice when you don't feel all that pressure of everything that I need to afford is coming from this one bucket. So that's awesome. And I saw that you're kind of fixing it up and doing some projects, right?
Yeah. So part of the gifting on the show was that Brian hooked me up with, her name is Noelle, and she has a design company out of California, I believe LA. And so she saw all the pictures on my Airbnb. They made sure it was Airbnb worthy before they got in contact with me to be like, yeah, we'll take this on. Like, there's some really good qualities here, but this is what I think you should be doing. And the biggest component of it was like making it Instagram worthy, but also I named it the Macaw City House. And what that represents is this amazing, beautiful person, really, right? This beautiful bird with so many talent, but if it's hidden away, it can't be seen. And so I gave my whole home a story, and I shared pieces of my story with my guests, and I welcome them to share my space, which is a little weird to some people, but I'm an extrovert. I love to get to know people. And during non-COVID times, I can't wait to have people in my home while I'm there. So I get to meet them. And if I don't like them, I could say goodbye in a few weeks. And if I love them, like, we can stay friends. So it's a great way to meet new people and hang out. And so the biggest component of the house was the macaw wall. And it's still in the process of being finished, but it will be a ceiling to floor pictures of macaws in very old frames that I've been sourcing from thrifting, yard sales, free sites, anywhere I could find vintage and free or low priced. So the community has created an amazing wall for me.
Oh my gosh, I cannot rave about that enough, because adding that extra touch, that will just help your listing stand out so much more. And that's obviously the point. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen like the really crazy eccentric listings where it's like a tree house, or they have the whole house is pink, or just something so wild, but it makes it so much more enticing to go and try it out.
Yes. Yeah. I have a little plan up my sleeves in a few months. I have been dating someone. And so when I get back I'm going to Mexico this summer, obviously. That is a huge trip of mine. So my daughter and I are taking a 6-week trip because I need to get over the fear of being able to travel alone and in a foreign place for an extended period of time. So I was like, we're booking 6 weeks to Mexico, and again, on a very low budget, and we are Airbnb-ing, and it's just going to be insane. But I have like a really fun experience planned when I get back with my partner. I can't say it because he'll probably listen to this. So you're just going to have to be surprised.
Yeah.
But amazing things you can find on there. It's just insane. And eventually I'd like to have a lot of little tiny homes and yurts or tents in a community Airbnb where people kind of want to come to hang out with people they don't know who also want to come and hang out with them. So I think there's a market for it, especially with wanting to kind of disconnect and be in nature. So I'm all about the yurts and the tiny homes and the tree houses.
Yeah, put me on your wait list because that sounds like a fun time. Like I've been seeing a lot of those types of things kind of pop up here and there. And yeah, it's kind of cool how back then people would rave about like, oh, this hotel and this resort. But now it's like the opposite where everyone's like, no, actually I want to stay right in like tiny homes and in the trees. And just totally the game has changed, but not mad about it at all. So,
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be so much fun. And if anything, you could even do maybe even like a wellness retreat at one when you have that, right? Like for your clients and people. There you go. That could definitely be something.
That's a big brain. That's a big brain thought. Yes. So we're talking about it already with a few of my friends, just also running retreats, but we're like, yes, this could be a retreat, family reunion, and just a bunch of friends coming together and renting out the spaces with their families or something like that. So it's in the works, but we'll see. It could take a few years, but it's on the vision board.
Absolutely. Vision boards are amazing. It really makes it feel like that idea is not just in your head, but it's going to come to life at some point. So that is awesome. Gosh, you have so much experience, which is what we were talking about earlier, and you're doing so many things, but love it all. That's the road to financial freedom and to just overall, just finding ways to expand on what we're passionate about into the world without being tied down to just a 9-to-5. So I love everything that you're doing, and I cannot wait to watch more of the show. Share with us on where our listeners can find your site, how they can work with you, and what day the episodes air.
Yeah. So my last and final episode, which is the main episode, is airing on July 4th. It's on Crackle, but also on YouTube. You can watch for free on both platforms. If you've missed the prior minisodes, they were little episodes from 9 to 11 minutes, and there was 3 of those. So you can definitely watch them. I suggest to everybody to watch everyone's episodes. They were all super helpful, and I learned so much about financial freedom through everyone else's platform. Throughout the show, you'll learn that I totally got debt-free, and the only debt I have left is my student loans and a credit card that I'm paying off slowly, but I was really able to tackle a lot of my debt and freeze my credit cards, and I haven't unfrozen them. They're still frozen in the freezer.
Yeah.
So that was one of the most helpful tips, and you'll see that in the first episode. What else? I have a website, momoverboardblog.com. And people can find me on social media at Mom Overboard or Tina Dierna or both. So super easy to find everywhere.
Yeah, awesome. And if you're a single mom, join the Single Moms Facebook group.
Yeah.
Great combos happening in there and ways to stay connected for sure.
Yeah. So my single mom group, I think I sent you the link to that too, but it's Single Moms, Health, Wealth, and Freedom. So it's about creating health. It's about prosperity and wealth and freedom, becoming free of whatever is holding you back.
Oh my gosh, love it. And one final question. Will you be meeting Ashton Kutcher soon?
Oh my gosh, I wish. I mean, I didn't get to meet him in person, and I didn't get to meet him in the episode. My good friend, through this, some of the other participants have become friends. So my good friend Isabel did get to meet him virtually on Zoom. They had a great conversation, but at least I could say that Ashton Kutcher has said my name.
Yeah.
And knows who I am. So
hey, that's good enough right now. So I mean, you've met a lot of other amazing people on the show. So
yeah,
great opportunity. So happy for you that you got onto the show. I remember when you announced it, I was like, what? That's insane. But yes, so many amazing things are going to come out of it, no doubt.
I said it was coming. I was like, I want to be on a TV show. I kept telling my friend Amoya, and look at that, it happened. And I really feel like I visioned that as well this year. What else? There was one other thing that I was like, oh, I will be getting some other helpful tidbits in my next session with Dr. Lynn Richardson. She was my financial expert who came to work with me as well about creating your own business and growing it. And for mamas who are out there who are using their kids, how do you leverage that paycheck with them and the IRS and stuff? So I'm excited to be able to share some of the information she teaches me into our single mom group. But you got to be a member there to get that information.
Yes, please join us. It's fun. It's fun meeting everyone. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tina, for coming on to the show. It's been such a pleasure. And all of Tina's links will be in the description box below, so you know how to reach out. And yeah, we'll catch you guys all next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.